everyone, I'm Sarah of Rich Textures Crochet and welcome. Today we're going to learn how to crochet the Aspen Beanie. Now this is a super bulky weight crochet beanie. It's very cozy, very thick, made with a wool blend yarn. It's quite easy to work. It looks like it's knit, but it is crochet, and that's the inside of the hat there, and then the outside. It's just a wonderful hat to wear. Actually, I wore this hat most of the afternoon while I was out with my dogs today. So it is quite comfy and cozy to wear. This is without a pom-pom, so you can see the top, but it goes great with a pom-pom as well. It's really up to you. Today for the tutorial, I'm going to be working with a super bulky weight yarn. I'll be using the Woolies Thick and Quick by Lion Brand. There is 106 yards per ball, and you're going to need one to complete your beanie, and you're going to use almost the entire ball. You're also going to need a P crochet hook or a 10mm. This is one of the metal streamline hooks by Furls Crochet. There'll be links to these items in the description of this video. Also down in the description you'll find a direct link to the free written instructions, which is on my website at richtexturescrochet.com. Thank you so much for joining me. While you're here, I invite you to subscribe, take a look around. This channel is updated every single week with free crochet patterns and stitch tutorials. Let's grab our hooks and yarn and get started. Now our crochet hat today is worked in rows. We're going to start it a little bit differently than maybe some of the other crochet hats out there. This is one way that I really like. I've used it a few times, including in my winter ribbed hat, and so I'm going to use it again here today. You're going to start by taking your yarn and by working a slip knot. And I should have mentioned that this hat that we're going to work today is going to fit an adult head with a 20 to 22 inch, maybe even 24 inch circumference. And I'll give you some tips along the way so you can modify it if you would like. So once you've made your slip knot, you're going to go ahead and chain 8. You're then going to join with a slip stitch into that first stitch to make a ring. We're now going to work the foundation chain for the length of our beanie. So this is the first place. You can modify it if you would like. You can work any multiple of stitches for this crochet hat. So for the length of your hat, I'm going to go ahead and chain 21. If you would like your hat to be longer or shorter, you can work the number of chains required to the length that you're looking for. So today 21 for the adult hat. It's going to give me a little bit of a slouch to it. Once you have worked your foundation chain with 21 chains, you're going to begin row 1 by working a single crochet into the second chain from your hook. You're just going to ignore that chain loop up at the top for a little bit. So single crochet into that second chain from your hook. We're now going to work a herringbone single crochet stitch in the next stitch and each stitch across. To work the herringbone single crochet, you're going to bring your hook down in front of your work, and when you look at the stitch, the single crochet stitch, you see a vertical bar that forms the post of the stitch going into your chain stitch. You're going to insert your hook under this vertical bar in the direction that you're going. You're then going to insert it into the next chain stitch. Yarn over, draw up a loop. You'll have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. You're going to continue working herringbone single crochet stitches all the way across. So next, this vertical bar, it's the furthest one over in the direction that you are working. You're going to insert your hook under that bar of the post of that stitch. Then into your next chain stitch, insert your hook, yarn over, draw up a loop with 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and draw through all 3 loops. You're going to continue this all the way across your foundation chain. And at the end of this row, you're going to have a total of 20 stitches. Now I'm here working my final herringbone stitch into the final chain stitch. You'll have a total of 20 stitches. You're then going to be up at this top ring here. What you're going to do is when you come to the ring, you're going to slip stitch just into the center of your ring. Chain 1 and turn your work. Now for row 2, we're going to work in the back loop only all the way across, and we're going to start by working a single crochet into our first herringbone stitch. So you'll want to pay attention, your chain 1 does not count as a stitch, and you're not working into that slip stitch that you worked into your ring with. You're working your first stitch into the first herringbone single crochet. We're going to work a single crochet into this stitch in the back loop only, so looking at the top of our stitch, we have a loop that is closest to us and a loop that is furthest away. This loop that is furthest away, that is your back loop only. So you're going to insert your hook and work 1 single crochet. You're then going to continue working herringbone stitches in the back loop only of each stitch all the way across. So insert under the vertical bar, the post of the previous stitch, then in the back loop only of the next stitch of our hat, yarn over, draw up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3. Continue working these herringbone stitches in the back loop only all the way across. You will continue to have 20 stitches. When you come all the way across at the end of your row 2 and you have 1 stitch remaining, you're going to work this final stitch under both loops of the final stitch. So work your final herringbone single crochet under both loops, not the back loop only. So under both loops, insert your hook and complete your stitch. You're then going to chain 1 and turn your work. Now for row 3, we're going to work in the back, beginning with the single crochet. We're going to work under both loops. You're going to single crochet into that first stitch. You're then going to continue all the way across, working in the back loop only. And you're going to work 1 herringbone single crochet into each stitch. So under both loops, work the single crochet, and then in the back loops only, work your herringbone stitches all the way across until you come back to that chain 8 loop. Again, you will continue to have 20 stitches. When you come all the way across, you're going to work your final herringbone stitch in the back loop only of that final stitch. Sometimes I do find that it hides a little bit, so if you need to place a stitch marker in your first stitch when you're working that repeat of row 2, then you can. It does help a lot. So you're going to work in the final stitch, and then as you're back up in your ring, you're going to slip stitch into the chain 8 loop, chain 1, and turn your work. Now for the next 25 rows, rows 4 through to 28, or the desired circumference, you're going to repeat your row 2 and 3. So row 2, starting in the back loop only, single crochet in the first stitch, and then work your herringbone single crochet all the way across until you come to that final stitch where you're going to work under both loops. Then chain 1 turn, work under both loops, single crochet in the first stitch, and then herringbone in the back stitch all the way across to your loop and slip stitch into the loop. All this is written out for free on ridgetexturescrochet.com, directly linked in the description of this video, so you'll want to check it out there if needed. So you're going to continue through until the end of row 28, and then you can meet me back here. Once you have worked through to row 28, your hat is going to look something like this with your loop here up at the top. What you're going to do is decide which side is your right side and your wrong side. There isn't too much difference to them. And leaving your yarn attached, you're going to fold it over so that the loop is up here at the top, and then your two sides are going to meet. You're then going to slip stitch these two sides together. You want to have your wrong side facing. So I'm just going to make this my wrong side facing. Chain 1, then working in the back loop only through both pieces, you're going to slip stitch across. So picking up the back loop only of the first side, and then across into the back loop only of the second side, work a slip stitch. You're going to repeat this all the way across. Back loop only, and slip stitch all the way across. Now if you turn it right side out and take a look at the seam and you find the seam is too wide or doesn't quite look the way you were hoping it would look, feel free to switch it up a little bit. Work in the back loop only of one side, front loop only of the next, or vice versa, or any combination thereof. You'll just want to work it so that your slip stitch seam on the right side is looking the way that you would like. So slip stitch up all the way across until you come back to the ring at the top. I'm just going to keep working here. Be careful not to skip any of the stitches. You want them to be even and your sides evenly matched. When you come all the way up, I'm almost there. It might be a little bit more tricky as you come up to the top, but continue slip stitching that seam together. I'm in my final 2 stitches here. You're then going to slip stitch into the center of that top ring, and if you've ended it and you're up here at the top, you can pull out a little bit of a long tail and then fasten off. Otherwise, you'll have to cut the yarn and then rejoin up at the top. But right now, we're just going to fasten off. I've already tucked in that end, so I'm going to trim it. You're then going to take a yarn needle and you're going to use the long tail at the top of your hat to sew the top closed. Now it's up to you how you would like to do it. If you want to just simply weave it through, make a tighter ring, or work a variety of different crochet stitches, sewing stitches, it's up to you. I'm just going to simply run in and out just under that top ring of my beanie. I'm just going back and forth all the way across the top of your hat. Once you've come all the way across or all the way around, you will want to secure that long tail and then just tuck in your end. And trim it off. You can then turn your hat so that it is right side out. If you wish, you may have a little bit of yarn left. You can add a pom-pom to it. It's really up to you, but this is the top of my hat, and that is your Aspen beanie. So thank you so much for joining me, and once again, while you're here, I invite you to subscribe if you happen to make the Aspen beanie and share it on social media. Do be sure to tag Rich Textures Crochet. I always love to come by and admire your work. Until next time, enjoy your hats, and I'll see you again soon. Happy crocheting. Bye.